Hello, and today we're predicting the EFL Championship 2020-21 playoff final. It's Swansea City taking on Brentford, and this will be at Wembley, of course. It will be a big one, the biggest game in football. Who can get to the Premier League to join Watford and Norwich City? Well, we will find out, but let's review first of all how we got on in our semi-final, first leg and second leg predictions, and we mentioned how the first leg was a nightmare for us. We went with a 1-0 win for Barnsley, and it was a 1-0 win for Swansea. And we also said that Brentford would win 2-0 at the Vitality Stadium. It was in fact 1-0 to Bournemouth, so no points in the first legs. And then moving on to the second legs, you thought, okay, surely it's going to be a little bit better than this. What goes and happens? Well, we end up getting a very disappointing no points again. I mean, what can we say? Brentford beating Bournemouth, we went with a 1-1 draw, and Swansea beating Barnsley on aggregate, but 1-1 on the day. It was 1-3 in my predictions. So, absolutely dreadful. No points across all four games, and I really do need to have a good one in this final. But it's going to be an interesting one, of course, because Swansea, going into that Barnsley game, knew a draw was enough, and that was enough for them to get through, and it was a brilliant strike from Matt Grimes. Very impressive individual skill there. And obviously the goal from Cauley Woodrow was impressive. What a run from Williams. He just absolutely burst down that right-hand channel, and it was very well finished by the striker who just steered it in. But Swansea were very much in control of that tie, and you got to feel bad for Barnsley. They were the underdogs, and a lot of people wanted them to get promoted, but it didn't happen, and Swansea will be at Wembley. So it is interesting as well with Brentford, because against Bournemouth in the first tie, they were awful. And then they really did turn up, and the home fans played a massive role at the Brentford Community Stadium. They just willed them over the line. And to be 1-0 down and come back 3-1 on the day and 3-2 on aggregate, you've got to give Brentford a lot of credit. Bournemouth did lose their heads. You know, Asmir Begovic just playing some, play acting and time wasting and trying to take the ball off Ivan Toney and getting booked because of it. But also Bournemouth they really did fall apart, and they bottled it at the end of that game. 2-0 up on aggregate, you'd think they would go and finish off the game, but Danjuma looked like a bit of a sorry picture at the end of that game. He was their one individual, and they weren't working together. They really couldn't get it going. And fair enough, Brentford, they just kept on coming and forced with a big goal to just, poke it past the goalkeeper and make it 3-1. So Brentford, they've been here before last season. They don't want to bottle it again in that final, like they did with Fulham. Fulham, of course, who will be going the opposite direction into the Championship after their poor Premier League campaign. But it will be interesting to see if Brentford can kind of right the wrongs of last season. I do think Brentford deserve to be the team in the Premier League, because this season they've been in fantastic form. But I just got this funny feeling that Swansea are going to win it. I don't know why. I want Brentford to win, but I just don't feel like Swansea are going to lie down in this one. I hope I'm wrong. So what I think will probably happen is a Swansea win, and it'll probably be tight. It'll be nervy, and it'll be Brentford 0, Swansea 1. The only goal coming from, let's say, Conor Hourihane. But what I actually predict and what I hope happens is a Brentford victory. So I'm going to predict Brentford 3, Swansea 1. Just like that second leg at the Brentford Community Stadium. But goal scorers this time around, and talking of goal scorers, in the playoff final, there's been some great ones in the past, and we'll look back at some of those in a second. But goal scorers here, Brentford, I think will get the opening goal of the game to have it in their favour, and he scored in the semi-final, but I think he'll score again here, Ivan Toney, and I reckon he's going to score an absolute peach of a header. Then Swansea get back level to make it really interesting, and it won't be Andre Ayew this time. It won't be Conor Hourihane this time. Instead, I actually think that the Swansea player who will equalise for them will be, the defender, the unlikely scorer, Kyle Norton. That's right. And what is the third goal of the game? Who's going to get the second for Brentford? I think this time it's going to be the player who had an absolute sitter that he couldn't put it into the back of the net in the first leg against Bournemouth, and that was Brian. Let me pronounce it right this time. Brian Mbermo. I'm going to go for that. I don't know if it's right, but hey-ho. And then the third goal for Brentford, we shall go for the man from Denmark. And it is Matthias Jensen. So it finishes Brentford 3, Swansea City 1 in the playoff final. Brentford, Premier League qualification and promotion is in their hands, in my opinion. That wraps up my prediction for the playoff final of this Championship 2020-21 season. Get your score predictions in the comment section below. We'll see who's right, and we'll see who has an absolute stinker like I did in the semi-final playoff legs. But let's hopefully get some better points here. The scoring system will be 3 points for the correct result, 5 for the correct goal difference. So if you said 2-0 and it was 3-1, then, 5 points. And then 8 points for the correct scoreline, if you get it bang on the money, the correct score. So it is the kind of game that I feel like Swansea will go into confident. And they did play well, to be fair, against Barnsley in the first leg. And then the second leg, they had enough to get that goal from Grimes. But I feel like Brentford really will go for this, and that's why I think they'll win the game, but could swing the other way. In terms of famous playoff final goals, these are a few that I certainly won't forget. The most recent ones coming in around 2016, but, it's not to say that a scrappy goal in off the shin is any less important for these clubs. It's just the more dramatic and spectacular goals of the past few years. So we've got Mohamed Diarmé for Hull City against Sheffield Wednesday. I remember this one, watching it live, and it was just one of those ones where he doesn't think about it second thought about it, really. He just gets it, and he just whips it into that top corner, curling past the defenceless and, helpless Kieran Westwood. You just got a feel for him, because that was an amazing strike from Mo Diarmé. He just picked his spot and found it perfectly to really get his side into this tie and off and running in the final. But he actually did make a lot of good saves, Kieran Westwood, but he really could not do anything to keep that one out. What a wonder strike. Just curled it into the top corner with his right foot and just nestles lovely into the back of the net. So, yeah, very, very special goal from long range, Mohamed Diarmé versus the Owls. Then we've got, of course, the goal by Alex Revel, and this was League One. So not quite Championship, but it's still, EFL playoff final goals, if you get the gist. Now, if you haven't seen the highlights of this game from 2014, watch it now, okay? So it was a game between the Millers, i.e. Leyton Orient, and Rotherham, right? So this is one of the most dramatic playoff finals I think you will ever see. When I say the Millers, Rotherham, that's who I meant, not Leyton Orient. It was mad. It was absolutely mad. And the goal from Alex Revel is just ambitious, audacious, ridiculous. He lobs it from 30 yards in order to get Rotherham back level in the game in the second half. And it was absolutely the highlight. But there was a moment where he even got his manager running down the touchline in his celebration, which was just amazing. But this goal was absolutely fantastic. The lob, so well executed. And it sent the clash, of course, to extra time in the game. And then on penalties, the Millers won by 4 penalties to 3. So it was such an important goal and such a spectacular goal from Alex Revel. Next, we've got Gary Alexander. Now, this goal for Millwall was a very special one. And it's almost as if, actually, Revel had been watching videos of Gary Alexander's strike for Millwall 5 years earlier, because it was almost like a carbon copy. It was just as good, and very, very special goal against Scunthorpe in League One final playoff, 2009, I should say. I think Alexander's actually was better, because what he does is he takes the ball down all by himself, and then he just absolutely fires his strike into that top corner. Fantastic goal from Alexander. And he did go on to actually miss a free header from 6 yards. So you could score the worldies, but you can miss the sitters. And Scunthorpe actually ended up winning. So it's a shame to really have that goal in vain for Millwall, but it's still got to be remembered. That was a fantastic strike from the Millwall man. Next up is Nick Powell, a player, of course, that is now at Stoke City, and I'm assuming it's the same Nick Powell. I'm pretty sure it is. Playing for Crewe in 2012, a win against Cheltenham in that League Two final, and this was wonderful. Yep, it is the same Stoke man. He's been absolutely fantastic for this championship season, but 9 years ago, he scored one of the greatest ever playoff final goals for Crewe Alexandra. This strike, he was still just 18 years of age. I mean, it's crazy. It's madness. It's like, how had he done it? So, literally, his spectacular turn was out of this world. And then he shot against Cheltenham, and it helped Sir Alex Ferguson decide to sign him for Manchester United just a few weeks later. What a baller. What a goal. A great turn, great finish, and certainly a goal for Crewe Alexandra that will definitely be remembered. So, what a win that was for the away side there in 2012. Then we've got the goal by Adam Hamill. Now, this one, I certainly think that it's very much a underrated goal. Scored by Adam Hamill of Barnsley, and he was actually once regarded as a really highly rated youngster by Liverpool. And he definitely did live up to the hype. Well, I say that. He didn't when he went there, but it's fair to say that this winger, he had a lot of career highlights, and this certainly was one of them. 25 yards out, a curler in the playoff final. Well, you don't get much better than that. And great strike against Millwall. His second goal of the Tykes game at Wembley that month. And of course helped them end a 2-year exile from the Championship in that League One final. So it's a fantastic goal from Hamill. And he certainly hammered it into the back of the net. So one to certainly remember. Now this next one, 2014, is a dramatic goal. And it's still a fantastic finish from Bobby Zamora. You know which year, 2014 Championship Final, Derby against QPR. Absolute limbs. This goal goes in. The place goes bonanza. It goes bananas. It's crazy. So Gary O'Neill sent off for QPR. You think, okay, surely nobody's going to give Harry Redknapp's side a chance of getting promoted back to the Premier League. But that was all until an absolute icon for the playoffs, Bobby Zamora, goes and capitalises on that mistake from Richard Keogh in the 90th minute. Unbelievable scenes. He just hammers it home on a left-footed volley into the top corner, and it was his side's first and only shot in that playoff final on target. So, yeah, it was unbelievable. Just so alert, so precise, so accurate, so clinical from Bobby Zamora, and such an important goal. So certainly a goal that a lot of people have watched back time and time and time again. Next up, we've got Charlie Adam, Blackpool against Cardiff, 2010 playoff final for the Championship. And Blackburn, I should say, not Blackpool, the other way around. Blackpool, they were expected to be fighting relegation in the 2009-10 season, but instead they ended up fooling us all, and they ended up getting promoted to the Premier League. Charlie Adam, what a player. I mean, back in his day, he was class, and a left-footed free kick. What an absolutely just fabulous goal. No words can be used to describe it. It was just a brilliant, thrilling strike, and what a highlight at Wembley. It really was fantastic. It saw the Tangerines come back from behind twice in the game. So much determination, so much resolve, and what a goal from Charlie Adam. There's certainly no doubt that remains the best free kick goal ever scored in a playoff final. So can one of these players from Brentford or from Swansea top that? Well, you know, it's going to be a tough ask, but you've got people like Conor Hourihane or, you know, maybe even Fosu who could take a free kick, but that is pretty hard to top. Nick Wright is the next one. Come on, you Swans! What a legend for Watford, Nick Wright. This goal, I think it's the best one. People can say not, but I think it's absolutely unbelievable. Now, in any part of football, when you see an overhead kick, you think, that is special. That is why we want to support football, because we have just witnessed a moment of magic. But this wasn't just an overhead kick. It was a fantastic overhead kick in a playoff final. I mean, what a great time to do it. It's difficult enough to do it in the first place, but let alone in that final. I mean, unbelievable. That's exactly what Watford's Nick Wright managed to do. And it was at the peak of Watford's time under Graham Taylor. What a manager. Absolutely unbelievable. And what a goal this is from Nick Wright. 1999, Bolton versus Watford. And it's a chance to get promoted and, you know, get up into the Premiership after being in the First Division. And it was just spectacular. It was absolutely spectacular from the striker. It came 7 minutes before half-time. I mean, that is just amazing timing. And it helped the Hornets achieve back-to-back promotions under the legend that is GT Graham Taylor. What a top gaffer he was. And that certainly was a goal that Watford fans and I will remember for a long, long time. Next up, we've got Wade Elliott. Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0. And this was a certainly fantastic goal from Elliott. He just picks his spot in the Championship final 2009, and there's just no stopping it. It might as well have 3 goalies in the net because it's not being saved. I mean, this is just fantastic. 13th minute in the game, and Wade Elliott just curls it deliciously to end Burnley's 33-year wait for a return into the top flight. They got the better of the Blades in 2009. And the midfielder, he just wraps his foot around it so well. Wraps his foot around the ball, finds the top corner of the net, and there is absolutely no chance for the despairing, diving goalkeeper Paddy Kenny for Sheffield United. It was a strike worthy of winning any game, but certainly winning any final at the Grand Stadium of Wembley. And we finally end this playoff final prediction and a bit of nostalgic look back at some great goals in this final with the best one, I think, apart from Nick Wright, Dean Windass. What a strike this was. On the volley, have a bit of that, son. Against its Bristol City and it's for Hull City. This will go down in history from Dean Windass. I mean, it's unbelievable stuff. The setup from Fraser Campbell was perfect, and it was just absolutely out of this world. 13 years ago, it was scored by Windass, volleying Hull into the Premier League for the first time in the club's history. I mean, he was 39 years old, so he wasn't, you know, a young gun. He was a veteran. He was very much a regular, but he didn't show any signs of age. He didn't show any signs of rustiness. That was a fantastic goal from Dean Windass. He gets set up perfectly by Campbell, Fraser Campbell, his teammate, and then he gets it and just fires it home. No mercy shown whatsoever. Absolutely ruthless piece of forward play. And just outside the box, top bins. Thank you very much. Hull with a big, big goal in 2008. And it was just a brilliant, brilliant strike that deserved to win the game. It was enough for the Tigers to beat the Robins, Bristol City, and win promotion to the top flight. So that wraps up my Championship playoff final prediction and a bit of, you know, looking back at some great final goals. But I hope you have enjoyed. Smash a like on it. And as I said, comment your score predictions and we will react to how we got on in a future video. But thanks for watching. See you later.